Okay, so what we're going to be working on today is showing you how to make a 2D drawing from a 3D model in Inventor. Okay, first piece of advice is to have the model open which you want to make a drawing of. Now, this is the very first model that we made in class, the Z bracket, so we're going to go ahead and use this as the example for our 2D drawing. Now, when we do that, what we're going to do is we're going to go up to File, and we're going to go to New, okay, and we're going to go to Drawing. Okay, when we do that, we will have the pop-up menu will come up. Actually, there we go. And it'll create our border right as it is. Okay, now the first thing I want to do is to make sure that I change the border size to an appropriate size. The default size for the borders is a D size. If you zoom in, you can see that that is the default size for the border. This is going to be a little big for what we want, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to change this size. Okay, so to be able to do that, what we're going to do over here in the model or the drawing browser is we're going to go over to sheet 1. We're going to right click and we're going to say edit sheet. Okay, and that's going to bring this pop-up window up. This is where we can change the default drawing size. We can change it to portrait to landscape. We're going to change our size to B and see how that is, and we'll say OK, and it'll update it to what we want. So it's very simple to do that. Okay. Now, the first thing that we're going to do is going to create our base view that is our beginning. So you'll see that we're on the Place Views ribbon, and we're going to go ahead and select Base View. Okay. And this is asking for our model. This is why it's a good idea to have the model open. If you already have it open, it's going to default to this. Otherwise, you have to look for it and specify the model that you want to make a drawing of. So we'll say OK. And when we do that, it puts a default view there. Now that is not right where I want it to go, so I should be able to just click and drag it and move it around. So I should be able to just click and drag and click it in this corner and just move it over to the side. Okay, so we can put the view right where we want it to be. If we want to add additional views, that's where we are using these keys up here, okay, in the same, these icons in the place view. So I'm going to do projected views. That's going to give me my top and my side. So if I go projected, okay, select view location. I'm starting in this view, so I'm going to basically go to my top view, or if I wanted to, I could put my side view. So I'll put my top view here. And once I'm done that, I can right click and say create, and it'll create that view. Okay, if I wanted to put a side view, I could just do projected, select the view that I'm starting with, click the side view, right click and create. Okay, so that way I can create what I want. I can also, if I wanted to, create an isometric view over here in the corner as well. You just kind of click diagonally and that'll be able to give you the that view there. Okay, now this is very important. If I wanted to create a section view, I'm going to use my section icon up here, select a view or a view sketch. I'm going to select this view. I'm going to create a section view from here. Now it's asking me to enter the endpoints of the section line. I'm going to zoom in so I can see a little bit better. And this is a very important point. I want to make sure that my cutting plane line is larger than the view. Okay, so I want to cut it through the center of this bracket. So I'm going to basically hover over, and you can see I'm hovering over to the center. And when I hover over the center, it's going to give me a little dotted line. I can click here, and then I can click below. And I want to make sure that my line is longer than the view. If I end up having the line right on the edge of the view, it's not going to cut completely through the part. And also the cutting plane line will be right on top of the part, and that's not proper. So we want to go ahead and click, once we have all of our lines selected, right click and hit continue. And now we basically have to define the side that we want the cutting plane line arrows to point. So you can see that it'll put it behind the arrows, which is what it's supposed to do. And I want to put my section view over here, and I click, and then it's OK. And there's my section view. Now, if I zoom out a little bit, you'll see that my section view title is right on top of my border. I don't like that, so we're going to move that to the side. All we have to do is click, and drag that over, and we can move that on the outside. Okay? So that's pretty much it for creating views. Now, if you want to create other geometry or dimensions, that's going to be done on the Annotate menu. So we're going to go to Annotate, okay? And that's going to allow us to put text, dimensions, and center lines. So we're going to look at center lines first, okay? Let's look at the center lines in the top view. Those will be easiest to add. So the center lines are going to be in the symbols area. You take a look. The center line that I want is basically the center mark. I'm going to click the center mark, and then I'm going to go over the hole, and you'll see that it'll highlight. I'll click on the hole, and it'll go ahead and put that center line in there for me directly. Okay? Now, in the front view and the side view and the section view, I can't use the center mark because there's no complete circle. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use a axis center here. Okay, and click on a location. And I click on the center of the hole. And I go above and I click again. So again, I got to click on the axis bar or the icon up here on the menu. Click the two areas that are going to form the center line. And once I click on that, it'll give me the axis center. I zoomed in that we could see a little bit easier. Okay, and I'll do the same thing down here for my centers. Whoops, that was a mistake. Right here and right there, and it'll automatically put it in there for me. It looks like it erased my other one that I put in there, so I'm going to go ahead and do that again. Okay, you got to click on the outside to make sure that it knows that that's the location that you want. I'm going to put a few more in here in the section view. Another one over here, and there we go. Now, just like we can add center lines, we can also add dimensions and notes. We're going to also use the Annotate menu to do that. So for dimension, we're just going to go ahead and choose dimension. And let's say that I want to put a radius, but I got to go back and put my center mark on here. And we'll go ahead and add a dimension on here for this particular hole. So once I click that dimension, I can put that there, and you'll see that this pop-up window will come up. This is great to use if you have multiple holes or if you want to apply special geometric tolerances on the drawing. For example, if I had two holes, which I don't, but if I did, I can go ahead and click in front of the arrows. I can do 2x space, say OK, and it'll put the 2x in front of that. Now over here, I'm going to go ahead and put a dimension on here to show my counterbore as well. So I make sure my dimension is highlighted. I click my arrow, I click my center. There is my center diameter. I'm going to go beyond this. I'm going to hit a space, and then I'm going to go ahead and put my counterbore symbol. Okay, and then I'm going to say diameter 0.5, and then put a depth dimension in there with my depth symbol. Okay, and I can say 0.125 and say OK, and it'll put the complete dimension on there just as I want. Okay, if I wanted to add notes, I can use that in the Annotate section. I can put text. I can just basically put text here and indicate where I want to place the note. And I remember with notes, I want to make sure that my caps lock key is on. So I can say notes. All edges to be finished. Say OK. And it'll put the notes right where I noted. Okay, and that's basically it.